Hello and welcome to Empire of Wargames. My name is Deepdash and today we are going to talk about the Ultramarines Battleforce called Scions of Macragge. If you're interested in upgrades, points, savings and more, you've come to the right place. And if you find yourself enjoying the content, consider leaving a thumbs up and subscribing, as well as checking the links down in the description below if you want to join our Discord server or follow me over on Twitter. As always, all the relevant links to the Warhammer community article, the battle forces, combat patrol reviews and all of that kind of stuff are going to be either in a pinned comment or down in the description below. And with that, let's talk about the basics of the box. You're getting 27 models, which is tied together with the Salamander's Battle Force for most models out of the Space Marine Battle Forces, and you are getting a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to named characters and Ultramarine specific things. So you're getting 2 HQ choices with Manius Karga and Tigurius. You're getting the Victrix Guard, which is technically slotless as long as you take Manius Kargar. You are getting 1 or 2 troops choices with the Intercessors, depending on if you take 1 squad of 10 or 2 of 5. You're getting an elite slot with the Blade Guard Veterans, and you're getting 1 heavy support slot or 2 via the Hellblasters, depending on if you take a 10-man unit or 2 5-man units. So yeah, suffice to say that this box adds a lot of variety, the most out of any of the boxes, while still being somewhat fitting to the Ultramarines. So let's go over all the units separately. First up, we are going to talk about Manius Karga and the Victrix Guard. I'm going to cover them together. Manius Karga is the chapter master of the Ultramarines and hits incredibly hard. He has 2 power fists, he has underslung bolters, and yeah, he's the chapter master. He has a lot of buffing abilities. He has abilities that add command points. He costs 180 points down from 210 previously, and he's just an extremely reliable HQ choice for his 180 points. He's done everything. Shooting, additional command points, utility, buffing, melee. He's doing it all. He's the Ultramarine character out there next to obviously Robuti Gilliman. So yeah, Manius Karga, suffice to say, he's really good. The Victrix Guard, meanwhile, has suffered a little bit ever since the bodyguard ability got nerfed a little bit, but they are still very, very durable for their points, and they're just cool tanky units that you can place on an objective and be more or less unmovable. Cool unit to add. They come together in one box with Manius Kargar, and yeah, you're not losing anything by including them in your army. I think they are still worth their points, and they are not taking up a force organization slot due to Manius Kargar. Next up is our other HQ choice, and it is Chief Librarian Tigurius. This one is, as you might know, a named kind of librarian, a named psyker, and thus he is very, very reliable. He can cast twice, he can deny twice, he can reroll a cast, he can add +1 to deny the witch and casting psychic spells, and he can make 1 unit more durable by buffing them and making hits against them harder or more difficult to hit. So he's doing it all. The only thing he's really lacking is just basic ranged firepower, but he's probably just going to smite anyway. And he's okay in melee when you really, really need it. So at 5 attacks and a decent melee weapon, he's going to survive at least just killing a couple of troops in melee. He's going to be fine. So yeah, super reliable psyker, named character, difficult to convert, same as Manius Karga. Those guys have the Ultramarine symbol literally everywhere. So converting them is not too much fun. I have both of these models for Silver Templars, but the Silver Templars are a successor chapter for the Ultramarines, so there I don't mind that they have the Ultramarine symbol everywhere. But if you intend to buy this box for any other chapter that is not specifically Ultramarines or not an Ultramarine successor chapter, I think you're going to have a good idea about green stuff and converting models. Next up is our troops choice, and that is basic intercessors. There are 10 of them in here, which doesn't suck nearly as much as the 20 you get in the Salamanders box, so I'm just going to glance over them. They're fine. Having 10 of them as a baseline is good. If you already have 10 of them for some reason, having 20 is still fine-ish, even though you don't technically need that many, depending on the changes for Arcs of Omen. So I'm just going to say it's fine. 10 intercessors, you know what to expect. Basic troops, basic ranged weapons, no additional melee weapons at all, but you're getting them on the upgrade sprue anyway, so who cares? Next up, we are going to talk about the elite choice, and it is Blade Guard Veterans. Super reliable choice. They've been at least decent for the entirety of this edition, and yeah, they are good in melee, they're durable, they have interesting kind of weapon options when it comes to their pistols for the sergeant, and yeah, super durable, super undercosted, or at least they are not super competitive these days. So I think at 105 points they're fine. I am not quite expecting them to get cheaper with the next update, but you never know. But yeah, they fit perfectly into this army. They add a little bit of melee spice together with Manius Kalgar. You're probably going to send them alongside with his Victrix Guard and just clog down an objective and make it literally uncontestable and call it a day there. And last but not least, we have our heavy support slot, and there we have Hellblasters, and Hellblasters have not been discounted for quite a while. They've not been included in the 2020 or 2021 Battleforce. They have not been in any other Battleforce except the Ultramarines one, and it is cool to see them here. They're a great unit. They see a lot of play, especially in semi-competitive settings. A lot of people on the Warhammer competitive scene talk about them here or there. They try things out with them, and I think they're a perfectly adequate unit in semi-competitive environments, and you can definitely do something with them, even though they are very expensive for how fragile they are, because they're technically a super expensive body that is just an intercessor. So keep that in mind. You have to play very defensive with them and keep them safe. But together with Tigurius, you can definitely make it work. And I think that is the beautiful synergy between the named character here and the, your heavy support slot that is very expensive. So yeah, seeing them in here is great. They add a lot of variety compared to the intercessors. They have a completely different game plan. They are used differently. They use up a different force organization slot. And just not having 20 intercessors and having Hellblasters instead is great. And with that, we are going to talk about the savings and the price. You're going to pay the typical 130 pounds or local equivalent. For Australia, you never know the price. I think it's going to be 350, but it might also be 330 or more. You never know. And the savings are between 29 and 32%, which is the super basic average. It fits perfectly with the Ultramarines theme, and yeah, you're saving the baseline. The Ultramarines upgrade sprue is different from other upgrade sprues that have been featured thus far, and they said there are a couple of upgrade sprues in the box, so I expect there to be 2 of them, because the regular Ultramarines upgrade sprue just has 1 sprue. So let's talk about the upgrade sprue real quick. It is nothing to really write home about. It is your basic shoulder pads. It is a power sword, it is additional head options and additional auspacts, and that is more or less it. The power sword is definitely useful. It adds points, it adds something cool to your sergeants for the intercessors, and yeah, it at least gives them a melee weapon next to the chainsword, which is usually free. So yeah, it's a decent upgrade sprue, but nothing special. And with that, let's talk about the points. And the base configuration actually gives you 1010 points. The Victrix Honor Guard is there for 60 points. Chief Librarian Tigurius for 135, which I think he's worth. Manius Kalgar got dropped down to 180, as I already mentioned. 2 Intercessor Squad for 100. You can bump that up to 105 with the power swords that have been included in the upgrade sprue for the Ultramarines. You're getting Blade Guard Veterans, and the squads that are really pushing it up are Hellblasters. Hellblasters cost 165 points. I think that is also the problem of the squad a little bit, and I hope they are going to come down at least 10-ish points with Arcs of Omen, but you never know. But 1010 points is uncontested the most you're going to get out of any 2022 Space Marine specific Battleforce. That is unheard of. All the other ones have a baseline of like 800 at best. So yeah, this is a big leap, and it actually hits our average of 1000 points, which we usually expect for battle forces here on the channel. Now, when you look at the maximum, not a lot has changed. Hellblasters cannot change anything. Blade Guard Veterans are also set in stone. Manius Kalgar, the Victrix Honor Guard, Chief Librarian Tigurius, nothing is changing. The only thing that has really changed are the intercessors with power swords and grenade launchers. That is it. You're getting an additional 10 points per squad, and yeah, 1030 points. Now, due to the amazing variety of units in this box, you can easily use this one for a Crusade starting force and have a cool little army. It also works for 750 or 500 points games perfectly fine, and I would build it like this, with Chief Librarian Tigurius as your support slot, ideally supporting the Hellblasters, Blade Guard Veterans as a kind of unit you can send down on their own, and Intercessors to guard your backline objective because they're a ranged unit. Works perfectly fine, 25 power level is perfectly adequate, and I think this list is just fun to play, adds variety, and yeah, cool little list. And next up, we are going to talk about upgrades, and the first thing we always cover is whether this box is worth it to be picked up twice, and I think it is not. While the Victrix Honor Guard is definitely useful multiple times, Manius Kalgar is not. and I have no idea what you would do with him when it comes to converting him. I have no idea what you would convert him to. But yeah, if you have any use for him, drop it in the comments. I'd be very curious. And the same applies to Chief Librarian Tigurius, or you could convert him into a regular Psyker. I think that would be possible if you change out the staff, remove the back banner, but I'm not sure. Meanwhile, the other units are definitely useful multiple times, having 2 squads of Blade Guard veterans, of Hellblasters, even though I'm not sure you would ever run more than 10 of these guys. And 20 intercessors if you're completely new to Space Marines is not a bad idea. So if you have something you can convert Manus Kagar to and Chief Librarian Tigurius, knock yourself out. At that point you can buy it twice, but for anyone who's completely new, who is not that apt when it comes to converting or using green stuff, I would personally not pick this box up twice, because you have so many different options for Space Marines when it comes to other battle forces, when it comes to combat patrol boxes, or when it comes to separate boxes, that I think you're fine without buying this one twice and having to really think about what to do with those HQ choices. Now, the thing I usually recommend wholeheartedly is one of the starter set halves. So the Recruit Edition, Elite Edition, or Command Edition. Now, I said it is technically the easiest way to go, because you need to find someone to sell those Necrons to, or you have to be lucky enough to have someone who's interested in starting Necrons, or just takes that other half off of your hands. So yeah, those halves are really good. They're reliable. They add a lot of additional variety, especially with the Elite Edition half or the Recruit Edition half. You're getting a Lieutenant, you're getting Assault Intercessors, and if you go for the more expensive variant, you're getting Outriders as well, all of which you don't have in this army. And yeah, they add a little bit more spice and additional HQ choice, additional troops that are different from Intercessors, and Outriders that fill a slot that you don't have filled at all with this specific list. Other than that, there are a lot of combat patrol boxes. I've reviewed all of them, and the one I usually recommend is the Dark Angels one, because it adds a Redemptor Dreadnought, and it's just the easiest to recommend because it adds another chaplain, which a lot of people usually don't have, and that makes it for a great update. So if you can live with having 15 intercessors, I think that one is a solid pick. Other than that, you can check out all the reviews I've done down in the description below. There's an entire playlist, so if you're interested in learning about them, definitely make use of the videos I've made. And with that, let's talk about the rating and conclusion part of the video. I think this box is definitely worth the 6 out of 10 rating. I think it ticks a lot of boxes. I've at the beginning said that the Iron Hands box is my favorite, but I really think the Ultramarines one is super, super close. The savings are just meh, but the army composition is great. The theme is kind of okay. The Ultramarines are a little bit all over the place. They don't quite have a theme. They're just good at everything. So I don't know if that fits the bill, but it technically does because it's a wide variety of units. So I think that ticks the box at least. And yeah, savings are good. A ton of points. And it plays well out of the box, and yeah, it's just a great box all around. And yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to bump that up to a 7 out of 10. I think it is actually better than the Iron Hands one. If you're completely new to Space Marines, if you don't mind having Manius Kagar and Chief Librarian Tigurius, or if you are confident as a beginner when it comes to converting models, this one is definitely a great start. Add the basic Space Marine Combat Patrol box to it, or the Dark Angels one, or a starter set half, and you're on your way to a full-size 2000 point Space Marine army. So yeah, I strongly recommend this one, especially as a starting force. If you have anything to add to this, to my rating, if you have anything to add to, I don't know, Ultramarines tactics or rules, or Arcs of Omen predictions, drop all of that down in the comments below and we'll discuss things there. Thank you so much for watching. I wish all of you a happy new year, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.